I'm going to start the meeting of the Abington Affordable Housing Trust Fund, Monday, March 13th, 5:30. Please stand for pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do they still do that in school?
I think so, yep.
Just wondered. All right. Minutes, I don't have any correspondence. I don't have any meeting with Judy Barrett of Barrett Consulting concerning Ashburn. I don't have any. She's unable to meet tonight. So she was away last week, and I sent her to get CC from Eleanor most of the vice chair, CC her on this. The correspondence I sent out, sent her a couple emails, and I heard back till today. And something about there wasn't a link on there for a Zoom meeting. That's because at the last meeting she said she would be here for this meeting. So she cannot meet at the next meeting either, the 10th. She wants to know if we can move it up to the 3rd because she's available that night. That is the night of town meeting, Works town meeting. We do meet early, so we could possibly do that. That would be up to, I say, the board, the three of us, I guess. They decide whether, would that stress you out too much?
No,
Would be okay?
if you did it 5,
Yeah.
Scott mentioned 5. Is town meeting is at 7, there's not a special at 6 or anything? Okay. So, I probably have to be there at 6.
Well,
It's
we could
usually
probably,
1 hour ahead.
I don't know how, we could probably have it be there.
Oh,
and have the
okay.
Zoom there,
Okay,
or, actually, did she say she could come to this one?
yes,
So,
yes.
we could have a meeting there, and then ask her to come, and even if it extends a little bit, you have to go, we can still continue the meeting.
Yeah, as long as you have a quorum.
Yeah, I don't think we would go too much longer, so, is that okay with you folks to move our meeting to April 3rd?
That's fine.
That's okay?
It's actually better for me.
Okay, is 5 o'clock too early?
Not for me.
No. It's all right? So I will let the town manager know, and I will let Judy Barrett know, and if for some reason, I might even have him set up a Zoom link, put on there just in case she can't make the real meeting, because I don't know how it works, but.
So are we still gonna meet on the 10th as well?
I would not be here for the 10th anyway, so it actually worked out good.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have a conflict with the 10th
Yeah.
too.
Okay.
So, the 3rd,
4, 10,
3rd will be good, and we'll just meet,
it's canceled, so.
have a regular, we scheduled something yet for May, have we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's May 8th and then June 12th.
Actually, that's pretty good, because it was the first.
So I'll put down 5 o'clock on the 3rd.
5 o'clock, 5 p.m., April 3rd. That's a Monday.
Yep.
Perfect. All right.
And it's gonna be at the high school?
They'll give you the room beforehand.
Okay, so I'll send a new date to Tony to post, and I'll put down that it's gonna be at the high school.
Yeah, room to be determined. They don't assign them till like a little beforehand. They post them all in the hallway, really just what they used to do. Okay. Discussion on training education of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund members. The next 3 items, I hope Judy will be here to discuss with her. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But in your packet, this link here that you have, housingtoolbox.org, is amazing. It has everything you need to know about housing. There's a chapter on, it's just, there's online seminars and all kinds of different things. And I know that Judy Barrett probably has a lot better things to have. And, she had promised us some homework, but we didn't get that either. But I would recommend you look at this, because these have some really good resources for affordable housing trust funds, for CPC, how to do these, how to leverage funds. It's just a lot of stuff. I would like to get on some kind of a manual list, so if they have, I know when I was on the Board of Health, they would have, every couple of months, they have, the Sheraton in Foxborough or whatever, they have things you could go to, and the town will pay for it. So I'm gonna see if there's anything like that for members of our board to go to, because the more we know, the better we'll be. So I'm sure that even the housing authority has stuff like that, that you can learn about.
Mhm.
So, and this is a very valuable resource, so please, if you have any questions, just go to that and look and see what they have, and it's kind of neat. The other thing too, that, as far as education, well, actually, I'll wait till, I'll wait till the other agenda item. So after that, we have discussion of housing authority's long-term goals in terms of our action plan. And the reason that came up is because, I know we talk a lot about working with the housing authority, and I noticed, if you look at a lot of towns, what they do with their CPA funds, they give a lot to the housing authority. So what I would like to do is try to see what the housing authority needs, what their plans are. They have land, we talked about it, you know, at the last meeting, they have land right here. There's more land at the other one off of Shar Ave. Do you folks have, and I don't want to put you in the spot, I know you have a meeting coming up. Do you have plans for it? Because it's there.
I asked about Shaw Ave and Levitt. Shaw Ave, there's supposed to be paperwork at the Brockton Housing Authority regarding that, because when Brockton Housing took over, when Pam retired, I guess she gave all the documentation to Brockton, and you can't find that, that paperwork. Regarding
That's documentation for what?
for what the whole deal is for the land in the back of Shaw Ave that's available.
But do you folks talk about expanding and getting more units, or you just basically just trying to deal with what you have now?
There's been some discussion, but the state is not really offering to help out. But if we could work with the CPC, that would be fabulous, and the Housing Trust, if we could all work together. And regarding Levitt, I have a note to get more information on that Mabel Butler land. Scott had mentioned, I think it was during a FinCom meeting, that the title is dirty, was the word. I guess when she passed, there's a whole bunch of heirs, and the title has to be cleared up. And another town resident had also mentioned that property. But I want to find out where that is in respect to where the housing authority land is and where the town-owned land that the town purchased for the, you know, possible fire station, just to see if we could work with that land. As we know, some of the land over there is wet, but if we, you know, we're working on that. But I would love to have us all work together.
Absolutely. You know, I think that the Affordable Housing Trust would like to see what your long-term goals are. Do you want to expand, or would you rather go somewhere else? And if that's the case, maybe we can help you with that.
I think expanding where we already have property, where we already have housing would be ideal, because you already have the community centers at both locations.
It
But
makes sense.
I can bring that up.
And that's what people want.
Yep.
They want, that's the housing the seniors want.
And I guess going into that is, the town manager popped his head in, and he really is not gonna give us an update. But we did ask, or I asked, what's going on with the request for proposal for the two schools. And he said he's working with Judy on it, but Judy had kind of been busy, so nothing's been done yet. I don't know what Upland feels about it. I don't really. I'm just gonna put it out there. I would like to see, you know this, I would like to see the center school, the senior housing, and I would love to, if possible, somehow get it under control of the housing authority. You know, the center school, yes. If it's gonna be senior housing, you know, I don't know.
But he's not proposing that. That's not what's been proposed. He has said senior housing, and then he has said, no, that's not profitable. It would be sold to a developer to be developed, possibly affordable housing. So the senior housing comes out a lot, but then it's said, they say no.
But the point I'm trying to make is, why don't we say, you haven't gone out to RFP yet, here's what we really would like to see.
So were you looking for the housing authority to buy the land?
I don't know how it works.
Okay.
That's one of the things, I don't know how this works. I mean, if the town owns the property now, and the developer comes in, is there a way to make it so that the develops the property for the town? We don't want, Adam doesn't want to be a landlord.
Right.
You know? But to see, that's what you guys do at the council,
Right.
and you are.
Correct, right.
You know, is there a way to maybe bundle them together so that one school stays in control, at least by some faction of the town, I'll call it council, the housing authority, but, you know, a faction of the town, you know? And it could be housing, it fall under the, you know, the auspices of the housing authority, rather than, you know, that way kill two birds with A, it's only elderly up there, or whatever, actually you have elderly and
Disabled.
disabled up there. I mean, rather than having the worst case scenario, which, you know, fear will happen up there. It's gonna be, schools are another animal, we don't know what else will happen with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just saying,
Was there ever talk about that? Because they were talking about, I mean, we talked about it when we did the survey for center. We've talked about it since we've been meeting, like, the two schools are gonna be looked at separately. Yes, 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 we'll do the survey on center, then we'll get, you know, input on North, and we'll possibly do a survey at North. But now it's like, no, we're gonna bundle them together, and we're gonna,
the problem that we've had from the beginning is our group here hasn't let anybody know we feel really strong. We haven't taken any votes on it. I mean, I've tried to, I've brought it forward, let's vote, because if they're gonna do what they want, okay?
Right.
However, if we let it be known that this is what should happen, and here's why it should happen, and this is what we want to see happen, you know, for the future of affordable housing in Abington, this is what we would like to see happen with these properties, you know? I think we should make a recommendation, especially before they actually go out to RFP. You know, or else they're gonna,
didn't that happen?
what?
Did that happen?
No.
That didn't happen yet?
No, that's what I just talked to, like, what you do about it.
No.
to do it.
Do we know who has shown an interest in the properties?
It's not public.
I heard
When does it
one or
become
two
public?
developers.
Hmm?
I heard one or two developers.
No, but I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what I heard.
how do we find out who, or is it private until a certain point? I mean,
I don't know.
Probably members of the Board of Selectmen and town manager, I know you go, he's in there now, you can go ask him, he'll probably tell you. I mean, I think we all know.
I think one developer was interested in just center, but I also thought I heard that there was a developer interested in both.
But once you go RFP, you're not supposed to cater these RFPs to certain people, so we should be catering these RFPs to what, well, to what the town wants. Not necessarily we want, but we can let the town know this is what we want, you know?
So what
We
about,
did a survey.
Yeah, but-
right,
But I know the survey has really meant nothing, because, you know, you look at what it says in the survey, you know, you did it, and what was it? I mean, you look at the percentages and stuff, it was, you know, if it was housing, and one of the questions in the survey, because I've gone back and looked at it again, it didn't say if it was to be a certain type of housing, what type of housing would you want? It was just, you know, housing, and I could pull up
housing
the survey and
recreation,
see.
yeah.
You know, like, do you want it to be affordable housing? Do you want it to be age restricted, over 55, market rate? Do you want subsidized senior housing? Because we all know that's what the seniors want. They
Right.
want the Levitt House, they want the Shaw Ave.
Right.
And the highest percentages in there was, you know, recreational open space. But nobody wants to acknowledge that. You know, and all we've heard about is putting out RFIs and RFPs and seeing if developers are interested, and, you know, what was the sense of spending the money? I mean, there's options, but it doesn't seem like, you know, we've talked about senior housing, it's not profitable. I mean, that's what town manager said, you know, and Judy Barrett, they don't wanna do
As a
true
member of
senior
this committee,
housing.
I'm not out to make money, I'm out to get.
I know,
Senior
I
housing.
know, I understand that, but I'm just saying, you know, we've done things to see, and not even necessarily, you know, for our committee, but we did a survey on the property. You might do a survey at North, and it might come out a different end result, you know?
That's very possible
I
because
don't
it's a
know.
totally different setting over there.
Right, and that's what we've been saying, so I kind of feel like it's just been, you know, they're just kind of maneuvering their own path and not even taking into account.
Who's they?
Well, well, the,
So for center school, do you want me to just discuss center school with the housing authority, or should I lump north in
No,
with that?
I
or-
don't even know where I'm going with this.
Right, but
just saying,
I know what you're saying.
Right, but do you want me to-
Does our board want, I'm sure that if we said, we voted to whatever, you know, and the town decided, yes, you know, that's a good idea, let's make it senior apartments, and we gave them to the housing authority, they're not gonna say, no, we don't want them, because you guys need housing.
Right,
So, I mean, I don't really think that comes into play. I would think that,
well, our budget would have to change, because, so, I mean, there's a chance that they might say no based on what's going on right now, because we've had a lot of expenses this year. But what I will do is I will,
but the other thing too is, we can use our affordable, they can use CPC funds. And I think affordable housing to repair and renovate
yes,
the CPA. A lot of towns do that, and I'll go over some of that. A lot of towns do that and make renovations, because the buildings are getting old, it probably needs some, you know, enhancements, and it looks like you probably use a lot of your budget for that, but that's something that we could use some funds for.
so what I will do is I will mention both schools.
They
Initially,
have a
that,
meeting Wednesday.
yeah, center school, and we have new business on the agenda, so I will be able to bring it up, but we'll probably discuss it further in depth in the April meeting. But I will mention initially center school, but say, you know, is there a possibility that something could happen with North as well? So I'll bring both of them up. And, yeah, Ron has his hand.
Yeah, so. But what is it you're gonna ask? I don't
I'm gonna find out if the housing authority has any interest in the
More-
North
more-
School
more-
and Center School.
Right, but do you have any more interest in expanding the number of
Right.
affordable? And if you
Right.
do, you know, if either of the schools or both of the schools, I don't think it's gonna be feasible for both the schools to be, because the amount of money that we have to offset
Right,
the cost, we have enough money to do that, but I don't know the cost. I don't know. We won't know until the RFP goes out.
right.
Yes, sir.
Now, first of all, I mean, my main thought on center schools, I'd just rather see it raised and, you know, left apart. But if made into housing, yeah, I'm definitely all for subsidized senior housing, but I, you know, so along that line,
Subsidized meaning the
along the
town
lines of like Levitt Terrace and Shaw Ave,
Yeah, income based, that's like.
income based, you know,
Yes.
not for profit or anything,
Yeah.
you know, and run by Abington Housing Authority, whatever. But so that's why I'm wondering, you know, I mean, I don't know who goes to, you know, I mean, find out if the CPC funds or whatever are available to do the renovations. So that way you just pay a contractor to do the renovations. You're not giving the property away to a developer and supposedly adding a subsidy to that or whatever to, you know, to get them to develop it so that they can collect rent forever. You know, so instead of that, and, you know, maybe it would be cheaper for the town to, you know, especially, you know, through CPC funds that, you know, the town pays for the renovations to that building to make it into, you know, subsidized senior housing run by the housing authority.
Maybe a joint project between the housing trust, the CPC, and,
Mhm. I'd like to see us all work together, definitely.
I think you'd have to find out too, like, what's the state's, you know, is there funding available? Because isn't it the state that subsidizes that?
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't know who you contact to find out what type of state aid or,
the
Brockton-
point I'm
Brockton
trying
will know
to
that.
make is, we should probably, if we're thinking about this, something that, yeah, but this is great, you know, we should let them know before the RFP goes out.
Right.
That's the only point I'm trying to make in this.
Yep,
And I would just say, you know, can you please, at least, I'd like to have it on record that we have said, can you look at this before you do the RFP, because this could be an option. Can Judy Barrett look at it, or we'll hire another consultant to look at it to see if these type of projects will work, you know? I mean, I think that you're absolutely right, that, you know how I feel on that.
Yeah.
If it's gonna be housing there, I think it should be, I've said that from day one,
Brockton Housing Authority has a whole staff of people who specialize in different areas of this, so I'm sure I can get some answers.
At least get some feedback and
Yeah.
see, if it's feasible or not. If it's not, then
I mean, we can actually, my thoughts are, we recommend to the town manager that, before he does the RFP, we explore the options of that project being affordable, subsidized housing that would come under the jurisdiction of the council, the housing authority. Is there a way that can happen? You can borrow the CPC funds, we can, and the CPC can, you can borrow for years to, when there's a project like this. And it doesn't have to be, some towns will take some of this money, but they'll also go for an override for that, that's a possibility too,
it's investing in
Us,
your
the
seniors.
future.
Right.
And it's keeping it in the town, and it's, we're not giving the property away and paying somebody to take it.
That is true, but it's not gonna be cheap.
Well, no,
Well,
but,
But in the long run, it's gonna be cheaper than a new development because we own the land already.
Right.
And the whole purpose, I've been fighting since I was a selectman to just look at the building and see if the bones are any good before it falls down, and they said, yes, the bones are okay.
Yeah,
You know?
the
So
schools,
that's what I thought the survey was gonna be, honestly.
it needs a ton of work inside, there's asbestos and lead and everything, but the bones are good.
Right. So,
That can be encapsulated too, doesn't have to be removed, it can just cover it up.
they can,
As long as there's no way it can be disturbed by
Falling down.
current residents.
You were there, right?
yeah, but it's,
This-
And I don't think there's really a
Yeah,
lot
but
of
that's
that in
just
there, but I,
because
I don't know about the flooring and,
Yeah.
and I guess sometimes the stuff around the windows can have lead in it.
Yeah.
a lot of the graffiti's.
But the windows were replaced not
There
too
you
long
go.
ago.
So do we
you know
have,
what? That's the
do we
worst.
wanna, you see where I'm going with this,
I
right?
absolutely see where
Should
you're
we
going.
take a vote that
This
I'll
is-
check with the housing authority, or can I just check with the housing authority? The staff over in Brockton,
Well, we can,
I don't see why you couldn't just,
okay?
if we take a vote now, we can put that into the town manager before the RFP gets done. But it's just exploring the
yeah,
possibility.
I don't see a problem with that. I mean, we're looking into possibilities, and that's what I think we should do. Because,
So what,
I think that's the best.
what would a good motion be?
I'll make a motion to make a recommendation to the town manager that we would like to explore affordable subsidized housing at Center School before the RFP goes
I
out.
would say north too.
Okay.
I mean,
Both.
because of
Yep,
that,
Center and North.
either or, one, the other, both, one, whatever.
You got it written down?
Motion to explore, motion to recommend to town manager that we would like to explore affordable subsidized housing in Center and North School prior to the RFP is being done.
Affordable subsidized, senior housing or just housing? Affordable subsidized.
Well, we can say senior, but it would also include disabled.
Just one caveat, do we want to somehow incorporate the housing authority in there? Because that would be the long-term goal, right?
Motion to recommend the town manager to explore affordable subsidized senior housing in North and Center with the possibility of the housing authority being,
Of eventually,
Control.
units, yes.
Control.
yeah,
Possibility of.
Under the control.
Under the
Under
jurisdiction
the-
of the housing authority.
Yeah,
You want to read that like clear? Because, no, only because it
No.
doesn't pick up very well here
Yep.
sometimes, so.
Motion to recommend to the town manager that we explore affordable subsidized senior housing for Center and North schools with the possibility of it being under the jurisdiction of the Abington Housing Authority.
Coming under the jury, okay, perfect. All right, so we have a motion made by Ron Howe, we have a second, no, I'm kidding. Motion- all right, so that motion is made by Ellen. Do we have a second? Do we have a
I'll second.
Do we have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Took like 6 months to get that.
Well,
I know.
we just didn't get it out there, like, this is what we
Well,
need
maybe
to
the-
look at.
Right, but now, it's good we have that, because we'll go to the town manager and say, Nate, this is what we really, this is affordable housing that we. And even though we don't have our goals yet, that's definitely the whole board's goal, is to have affordable housing, I think, it's affordable housing with senior housing taking more. So, all right, so good, thank you for that. I'll let him know the vote, and then I'll write it up, or one of us will write it up. Next, CPA funding request update and discussion of creating a better relationship with the CPA. And Ellen can talk about this too. Okay, so, we had 2 requests into the CPA. We had request for $20,000 to reimburse us for our consultant, which was actually something that we didn't talk about doing, but one of the members of the CPA, at the very first meeting, recommended it because, for transparency reasons, like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And then we requested, and we knew it was shot in the dark, but we requested, and we've done this high number before, $300,000, because we know that they are required to spend at least a third of their money on affordable housing projects.
10.
Oh, yes, at least 10%.
10%.
We would like at least 33%, but that's good to us. I got a frantic, I went and presented to them one night, and I thought it went fairly well. Any questions they had, and I came with some information. We talked about some of the projects that we had possibly happening. We told them, we're not gonna use the money unless, and we're all gonna use it for CPA, things that are, allowed by the Community Preservation Act. But also, we need to have the money in case something comes up, for example, the Habitat Community House that we might buy. We might need, we talked about this project, if this was to happen, maybe the Habitat for Humanity might need some funds to help. And with the schools, they might need some, developer may need funds to subsidize the work. So we talked about that. No problems. And then I got a frantic call from Ellen and the secretary over there, Kelly, just saying, hey, they're asking a lot of questions and they're hemming and hawing and they're all paranoid about different things. So I went to the meeting was it Wednesday? Last week?
Yes.
Last week. Their concerns were something's happening with other towns where they're not using the money effectively and they're worried about giving it to us.
Mhm.
Some towns have been abusing them.
Also, some towns also abuse CPC funds. To look no further than Norwell, I think the situation is wrong when we first started. But anyway, that's a different story altogether. So I explained it, and I just went in, and I don't know how I did, can rate my performance, but I
It was
just
very
said,
good.
well, thank
Yeah,
you.
there you go.
Well, I came in with all kinds of facts, which I printed up for you guys, and a lot more than that. And I just said, look, we have $250,000 for you guys already. We got $100,000, $150,000 one year, we got another $100,000 another year. We haven't spent it. We're waiting, we're hoping to save it up. And we're only using it for housing. I mean, the whole reason the Affordable Housing Trust funds are being made in these other towns, which I think is over like 130 towns now that have one, is to work together with the CPC, because they don't have the time to oversee all these housing projects and do all this stuff and investigate. So that's the reason, and one of the members, I think she misses a lot of meetings, but she's really, Kathy Creighton, very, very good, very, she asks a lot of good questions. And it goes back to what we need to educate. She was unaware, she kept saying, well, you can't use this money, you have to go to town meeting. And that's the good thing about the affordable housing, or maybe the bad thing about the affordable housing. Once the funds are in, we don't need town meeting approval, other than, we don't need town meeting approval. So, and she was under the assumption that we needed town meeting approval for everything that we spent, and we don't. Because she said, well, you can't spend that $20,000. Like, we already approved the project, this is to reimburse us,
Right,
So, long and short, it looked like they were gonna turn us down completely, but they ended up giving us $100,000. And we got the $20,000, so we actually got more than we could have got. Well, we got more than we got in the last couple of years. So we have $120,000. One point they made that was a little scary, it was like, well, if something comes up, you can go, we'll have a special town meeting, and then we can give you some more money maybe. I'm like, no, wait, the whole purpose of the housing trust is so that we can act quickly. I mean, and there's nothing to guarantee that a town meeting will even happen, it has to be approved by the
Right.
selectmen.
exactly.
It has to go to
That's
a
a
vote.
lot, plus it's a huge expense.
Yeah, so that's what happened. So that's why I put this as the agenda item is, we need to create a better relationship with the CPA. We aren't competing for the money. This is money that they have to use for housing anyways. Let's work together and, and there suppose there's gonna be some other requirements by the state that if we spend any money, CPA funds, we let them know exactly what it is, we do a yearly thing and let them know, which we're transparent anyway, so we're not hiding anything. So I just like to maybe in the future, not that this year is over pretty much, but maybe for next year, we could have, we have a member on there anyways. Actually, we don't have a member on there. We have you on there only because you're on the housing authority.
Right.
So we need to either get a member person on there, which works out if you're staying on there, or just go to some meetings or I've had a big pet peeve with the CPA even when I was a selectman. They don't reach out and tell you what's going on, because you put these articles in and then they don't tell you, oh, you should come to me and discuss it. You learn after the fact. We talked about your stuff, like, well, if I had been there, I would have known, so. But
I'm a little confused about it too, because when we met with the housing, when we had our joint meeting with the housing authority, that's when I realized, I think Dennis from the Brockton Housing Authority mentioned that we should have a housing liaison to the CPC. And,
That's right.
but is it just specifically housing authority, or is it to encompass housing trust? Is there anything in, the documentation that you can add a liaison from housing trust, or?
let me look up the CPA. The funny story is, I was dead set against the CPA. I got up at time meeting before I spoke against it. I actually did, Jack Buckley and I got a couple documents on the floor about it. And the Boston Globe used to have a point and counterpoint, so him and I both wrote editorials about, yes, it should be, no. And one of my big things was, there shouldn't be one because it's for pet projects and different things, and I was against it. Now that it's here, and I'm still against any added taxes, but now that it's here, I want to make sure it gets used wisely and for purposes, I honestly think that 30%, at least 33% should go to affordable housing, so additional housing. So anyways, so I will look up the CPA article
Okay.
and see what the wording exactly is. Because like, if you were to get off the CPA, would we be able to appoint somebody from our committee? Or if you were to get off the housing, would you automatically lose that?
Right.
So,
Okay.
because it was, in reality, the CPA was formed before we had an affordable housing trust.
Right.
We had a weird name. We had, housing trust, no, housing partnership we had for a while.
Oh, yeah.
First started meeting before we actually got the legislative paperwork for the trust, so. Okay, so I just want to discuss that, so we need to have a better relationship with the CPA. I think it's kind of a new point this year, but, they also have to do, I'm not sure, she may have sent me, I think she sent me, no, at the town meeting, at the CPC meeting, didn't Kelly give me some information about, well, here's the forms that we're supposed to fill out when we spend money. Remember, they had a conference call with somebody that talked about.
Oh, he's the liaison, their CPC liaison
From the
for the
state,
state.
and he's
Yeah.
the person that recommended not giving us it, or being careful about giving it.
Yeah.
But,
I think it's a good idea that you keep track of you know, if we get money from them, like, got the $20,000,
Yeah.
this is what it was used for, and this is the documentation that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
the
is
only way to
what
do
we
it.
used it for. So we should have something, you know, ongoing, just so we could go back to them and say, this is the money you gave us, and this is how it was spent. I think that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Well, one of the first meetings that I attended, one of the members said to me, as a taxpayer, it bothers me that you have this money and it's not being used.
Right.
And I tried to explain that, well, we need to build up a balance, so when we do need it, we don't want to just be erroneously spending money that will need for future projects.
I think it's because a lot of times in town departments and stuff, you're given money, and you need to use it within the year.
Or you lose it.
You know, and even outside, I mean, when I was doing with the schools and stuff, you had to use the money that you were given. So that's probably what she was alluding to, you know, you got all this money, but it's just a matter of not realizing this is how we do it, so, you know, like you said, you're on board together.
Well, a couple of points that I made that I don't think I made any friends that night because I was sitting over there. Like I said, we're being penalized for not spending the money you give us. It's kind of ridiculous. We're trying to save up for some major projects, and we're getting penalized because we have $250,000. I mean, we can use it if you want, you know, but we want to have a really good plan in place so we have goals and objectives and how we're going to spend the money. We could have done a buy-down program for the first time. We could have figured that out and done that, spent it right away. But we want to keep hanging on to it. The other thing too, as I said, it seems like we're being a little micromanaged here because, I mean, if they want to be the housing people, then they can be the housing people. But the town formed a housing trust fund for this reason, to spend basically, and they asked about funding sources. I go, and one of the documents I have in your packet, it talks about most of the funding for most affordable housing trust funds come from the CPC. There are other options. We talked about some different ones. We had talked about some other ones too, and some inclusionary zoning bylaws and sale of surplus land. I would love to somehow see if we can get the cell phone tower rental fees. There's all different things, you know. So that takes care of that. So town manager update, nothing. Discussion of Norton, we talked about that. Discussion of town-owned property that could be used by the South Shore Habitat for Humanity. From what I understand, just from looking on the outside in, it looks like some people were dropping the ball here because Habitat for Humanity was here originally.
August.
Yeah. You know, and they asked for a list of town-owned property, and
It was actually before that, but August was when they
I don't know if
zoned in
they
on
were,
this land.
I don't even know if they were actually given the list or they were just directed to Glenwood's Way.
No, I
So-
think they had a list. That's the impression I got. You don't think so?
I don't know if that, it seems like that was kind of presented to them. I was a little embarrassed that night, to be honest with you. I kind of felt a little foolish because, you know, we went in there and, you know, we had been here with Habitat, and the impression that I was getting was that this was kind of, you know, all you have to do is kind of go to the selectmen, the property's there, it's already been approved for housing, and it'd be a perfect place, well, it might not be a perfect place, but, you know, it was available. And I just kind of got the impression, because I even asked, who has the authority to, like, say this to them, that this is out there and maybe ready for your use? And then when we go in, you know, the recreational people are all at the selectmen's meeting,
I hinted
and
this in an email to Ellen, it's like, I think the town manager didn't think it would be an issue. I don't know if he overstepped his bounds,
Well, that's-
or just assumed that it was okay, and then all of a sudden, you know,
Well,
everybody's
that's-
got their own.
that's how I felt.
Yeah.
And when we were sitting there, and I even said to you, I was like, this is embarrassing, because, well, you said you kind of felt the same way, because, you know, here we are presenting this, and the whole room is full of the people that want to be recreational, and then one of the selectmen says, oh, well, you know, I was discussing this with these two people 2 years ago, and we have all sketches drawn up and everything for the plan for it, for the recreational space, and it's like, why, you know, didn't somebody should have come to us and said, hey, there's other groups interested in this, so it's not just a given.
I asked the Habitat for Humanity to come, the town manager mentioned they probably don't
Yeah, but I think he kind of overstepped, and that's the impression he gave me, and I just wasn't happy about it. I just didn't think it was the right way to
But,
go
you
about
know,
it.
we turn it around and make it a positive, because how many people got up and said, you know, we do need it, we do need, here's this property. That's why, that kind of piggybacks on this discussion. Okay, here's your town-owned property.
Right.
You know, here's Habitat for Humanity, tell us where they can go, because you guys agreed that we need more affordable housing. You know, and here's the North.
Senior housing.
Yes,
I have to say it, I'm sorry, I know I sound like a broken record.
well, we need
The
affordable
people,
housing.
we do need affordable housing, but we also have huge projects that are in the works that are affordable housing, that are, you know. But the majority of people I talk to for the needs of the town is senior housing, subsidized senior housing, that's what the seniors are looking for.
So should we change our name to the Abington Subsidized?
No,
Affordable Housing?
no, but I'm just saying, a lot of the people that were at that meeting were saying we need senior housing. So, and senior housing,
There's all different kinds of
I
housing.
understand,
okay?
because you can have age-restricted market value senior housing.
Yeah.
And then you can have age-restricted, but the affordable senior housing, it's only a fraction of most of the units. You know, it's called affordable, but you have 200 units, you might have 30 that are affordable. So, and I say it all the time, and I explain it to people all the time, you know? But the people I talk to, they're like, yeah, we need more units, like Charette, you know, like. So, but yeah, affordable housing, we need to get to our 10%, exactly.
So this thing here about Habitat for Humanity, I would like to reach out to, not Judy Barrett, it's, what's her name?
Noreen Brown.
Noreen.
Brown, thank you. I'd like to reach out to her and say, has anybody what's going on? Have you looked at the list? Do you have a list? Do you need a list? Do you want to come back to us? Can we provide you with a list of property in town? You know, I just want to I don't want that to go away, because, you know, she was eager, the town is been very supportive, Habitat for Humanity, even if it's one house, you know. Maybe, I know this property in town.
And that's typically what they do.
Right,
Do,
typical.
you know?
So, if that's okay, I'm gonna reach out to her and just say,
Yeah.
see what's going on.
Yep.
You know, and then, if, I might work with, I don't know if it's the assessors, but get a new list, because some stuff's been gone, I don't know if some end up going to conservation, I know they were trying to get some of it, I hope they did. Because when we were on the surplus land, we had a lot of.
Yeah, they did put some,
Okay, good.
they did get some.
So we'll get a new updated list. If she doesn't have one already, we will get her a new updated list. And for that, I might need some of you guys' help in the town hall.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can come.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So,
Ellen, you're here anyway, aren't you?
sometimes.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna reach out to Noreen Brown about the
Okay.
social habitat community, see what's going on with that. I'm gonna look up the CPA.
Can you ask about Plymouth Street as well?
on the street.
The house on Plymouth Street?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They were looking at
Status.
that, right?
Yeah, they're planning on rehabbing it. I'd like an update.
Mhm.
We'll see if she wants to come in, not to that meeting, maybe the June, May meeting. Look up CPA, I'm gonna look up the CPA article, see what the wording is for members for that. And we will, let them know we're gonna meet on April 3rd. I guess maybe, I need your help with this, I guess, I made a big step last couple meetings, I actually printed out the agenda in half, okay? Alan was very proud of me, but obviously I don't think I let these members know that we're having a meeting, they should, it was planned months in advance, but,
Yeah, but
I
they
did
had
not
last
get,
meeting when we went over the
Yeah,
dates going
and I-
forward, weren't they?
Yeah.
and I also believe that, the next meeting will be Mike Cologie's last meeting, so hopefully they will have, I think it has to be an actual member of the Board of Selectmen, so we may have a new member on here.
No, the election's in the end of April. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yep, you're right.
So that will be his last meeting, so, I'll make my cake.
So he didn't return his papers. Was today the day that he had to return papers?
I don't think he's going to, but that's another subject. So, is everybody good? And as far as, we're gonna let I'm gonna let him know now if he's not busy, you know, we're gonna recommend, writing. Stu.
Yeah, you want me to write that up? I'll write that up.
And I'm gonna let him know about April 3rd so that Judy Barrett can either come or we'll set it up on Zoom, but I think she said she was gonna be there for that. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn unless somebody else has. And if you guys want something on the agenda, I do it like the Wednesday before that week, so please let me know and I can add it. I don't mind adding it to the agenda. I kind of threw some of this stuff in here, which is,
No, this is all good.
yeah. And you're gonna let us know if something comes up where they say, we don't want any more property, we do not want any more property, we got too much stuff going on, you can give us 24 units of free, we don't want it, then let me know, but I'm pretty upset they said that.
I will let you know.
All right, thank you. Actually, when is that, Wednesday?
Yes,
What time do you get?
6 o'clock at Shar Ave.
I won't be there. I have 2 meetings. All right, cool.
Did we adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I seconded.
Okay, good. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you.